Hello, my friend. Welcome back to Daily English Whisper. My name is Max, and I am very happy to spend this time with you today. Find a comfortable place, take a slow breath, relax your shoulders, and let's enjoy some English together. Today, we are going to practice something that can make a huge difference in your English journey. We are going to work on real-life English, the kind of English people actually use. The kind of English you hear in conversations, in cafes, in stores, on trains, at work, and during everyday moments. The title of today's episode is Everyday English Listening, Slow Beginner Shadowing, Real-Life Practice. And that is exactly what we will do. We will listen. We will speak, we will shadow, and we will explore real-life situations that can help you feel more comfortable using English every day. Maybe you know this feeling. You study English. You learn grammar. You learn vocabulary. You watch lessons. But then a real conversation begins. And suddenly everything feels different. People speak faster than expected. You know the words, but they do not arrive when you need them. You want to answer, but your mind becomes quiet. If that has happened to you, please know that you are not alone. Many learners experience this, and often they believe something that is not true. They think they are bad at English, or they think they need to study much more before they can speak. But often the problem is not knowledge. The problem is practice, real-life practice. Many people spend years studying English, but they spend very little time listening to everyday conversations, and they spend even less time speaking along with those conversations. Today, we are going to change that, because here is one important idea I want you to remember. Real-life English is built through real-life habits, not perfect habits. Not difficult habits, simple habits, small habits, repeated often. Imagine 2 people. One person studies grammar for 3 hours every Saturday. The other person listens to and shadows English for 10 minutes every day, month after month. Who do you think will feel more comfortable in conversations? Very often, the second person, because language grows through contact, through repetition, through use. And that is what we will focus on today. You do not need perfect grammar. You do not need a perfect accent. You do not need to understand every word. You simply need to keep showing up. One conversation, one sentence, one day at a time. And by the end of this episode, I hope you will feel more confident, more relaxed, and more connected to English than before. Let me ask you a simple question. What is the difference between studying English and using English? Think about that for a moment. Studying English is important. Of course it is. But using English is where confidence grows. And one of the best ways to move from studying to using is through shadowing. So what exactly is shadowing? Shadowing is a simple technique. You listen to English. Then you repeat what you hear. You try to copy the rhythm, the pronunciation, the natural flow. You become a shadow of the speaker, not because you want to sound exactly like them, but because your mouth and your brain need practice working together. Many learners understand more English than they think. But speaking feels difficult because they do not practice producing the language. Shadowing helps solve that problem. It helps connect listening and speaking, and that connection is very powerful. The good news is that shadowing does not need to be complicated. You can do it while walking, while preparing breakfast, while waiting for a bus, while organizing your room. Even a few minutes can make a difference. Let's try a small shadowing exercise together. Listen carefully, then repeat. I stopped at a small bakery on my way home. Repeat. I stopped at a small bakery on my way home. Excellent. Now another one. The line was longer than I expected. Repeat. The line was longer than I expected. Very good. One more. I decided to try something different today. Repeat. I decided to try something different today. Excellent work. Notice something. These are not difficult sentences. They are normal. They are practical. They sound like things real people say. And that is exactly why they are useful. Many learners worry because they do not understand every word immediately. But that is okay. In fact, it is completely normal. When children learn language, they do not understand everything at first. They listen, they repeat, they learn through exposure. You can do the same. Focus on the message. Focus on the rhythm. Focus on speaking. Understanding will continue to grow over time. Let's practice a few more. Listen. I found a quiet place to sit and relax. Repeat. I found a quiet place to sit and relax. Very nice. The weather felt different this morning. Repeat. The weather felt different this morning. Excellent. I am becoming more comfortable with English. Repeat. I am becoming more comfortable with English. Wonderful. And remember, you do not need long study sessions. You only need a small daily habit. A few minutes today, a few minutes tomorrow, and then another few minutes the next day. Small actions, big results. That is how confidence is built. Now, let's talk about the main question. How can you use everyday conversations to improve your English naturally? Maybe you have said something like this before. I don't have enough time. I forget everything I learn. I understand English, but I can't speak. I feel nervous when people talk to me. I don't know what to practice. These are very common challenges. And if you have experienced any of them, that does not mean you are failing. It simply means you are learning. Every language learner faces obstacles. The difference is that successful learners keep moving, even when progress feels slow, even when confidence feels low, even when they make mistakes, because they understand something important. You do not need perfect English to begin using English. You begin first, then improvement follows. Today we are going to explore several practical ways to bring English into real-life situations. Not imaginary situations, not textbook situations, real situations. The kind of moments that happen every day. Moments when you are looking for something. Moments when you are asking a question. Moments when you are meeting someone. Moments when you are solving a small problem. Moments when you are sharing an opinion. These are the situations that build communication skills. And the best part is that you can practice them before they happen in real life. That way, when the moment arrives, you already have experience. You already know the words. You already know the rhythm. You already know how it feels to speak. In the next moments together, I will share several simple conversation habits that can help you feel more comfortable in everyday English. They are practical, they are realistic, and they fit into a busy life. Before we continue, I have a small favor to ask. If this lesson is helping you feel more confident, please give the video a like. And stay with me until the end. Some of the most useful conversation habits are still coming. For now, remember this. You do not need more courage before you start. Very often, courage comes after you start. One sentence, one conversation, one practice session at a time. And today, you have already begun. Now, let's continue with our first practical conversation habit. Way number 1 is simple. Listen to conversations that sound like real life. Many learners spend hours listening to content that is either too difficult or too formal. Then they feel surprised when real people speak differently. Real conversations are often simple. People talk about plans, food, work, weather, hobbies, little problems, small surprises, daily experiences. That is why it is important to train your ears with English that sounds natural. Imagine you are sitting in a small neighborhood cafe. You hear two people talking. One person says, "Have you been here before?" Repeat, "Have you been here before?" Very good. The other person answers, "No, but I heard the coffee is excellent." Repeat, "No, but I heard the coffee is excellent." Excellent. These are simple sentences, but they are useful because people actually say things like this. Now imagine you are visiting a weekend art market. Someone asks, "Are you looking for anything special?" Repeat, "Are you looking for anything special?" Very good. You answer, "I'm just looking around today." Repeat, "I'm just looking around today." Excellent. Notice how these conversations feel natural. They feel possible. That is important. Your brain learns faster when it practices language connected to real situations. And remember, you do not need to understand every word immediately. Focus on understanding the general idea. The details will become clearer with time. Every conversation you hear is teaching your brain something, even when progress feels invisible. Even when it feels slow, you are improving more than you think. Now let's move to another powerful habit. Way number 2 is imagine yourself inside the conversation. This habit can completely change your learning experience. Many learners listen passively. They hear the conversation, then they move on. But active learners do something different. They imagine themselves inside the situation. Let's try that together. Imagine you are entering a small bookstore. You ask, "Excuse me, do you have any books about photography?" Repeat, "Excuse me, do you have any books about photography?" Excellent. Now imagine the employee answering, "Yes, they're right over there." Repeat, "Yes, they're right over there." Very good. Can you see the scene in your mind? Can you imagine the bookstore, the shelves, the books, the people? When you create mental pictures, your memory becomes stronger. The conversation becomes more real. And real things are easier to remember. Let's try another situation. Imagine you are visiting a city for the first time. You stop someone on the street. You ask, "Could you tell me where the train station is?" Repeat, "Could you tell me where the train station is?" Excellent. The person answers, "It's about 5 minutes from here." Repeat, "It's about 5 minutes from here." Very nice. When you imagine these situations, you are preparing for future conversations. Your brain begins thinking, "I know this situation. I have practiced this before," and that feeling creates confidence. You do not need to travel tomorrow. You do not need to move abroad. You can start preparing today. One conversation at a time. One situation at a time. One sentence at a time. Now let's continue with another very useful conversation habit. Way number 3 is listen first, then respond. Many learners put too much pressure on themselves. They want to answer immediately. They want perfect grammar. They want perfect pronunciation. And because of that pressure, they become nervous. But good conversations begin with listening. Strong listeners often become strong speakers. Imagine someone says, "I recently started learning how to play the piano." Repeat, "I recently started learning how to play the piano." Excellent. Instead of worrying about a perfect answer, simply respond naturally. You could say, That sounds interesting. Repeat. That sounds interesting. Very good. Or maybe, how is it going so far? Repeat. How is it going so far? Excellent. Simple responses keep conversations moving, and simple responses are often enough. Let's try another example. A friend tells you, I spent most of the weekend hiking. Repeat. I spent most of the weekend hiking. Very good. You could answer, that must have been fun. Repeat. That must have been fun. Excellent. Or, where did you go? Repeat. Where did you go? Wonderful. Notice something. These are not complicated sentences, but they create real communication. Many learners believe fluency means speaking continuously for 10 minutes. Not necessarily. Sometimes fluency means knowing how to continue a conversation naturally. A question, a comment, a reaction. These small pieces build strong conversations. And the more often you practice them, the easier they become. Now let's move to another habit. Way number 4 is collect useful conversation phrases. Think of these phrases as tools. The more tools you have, the easier conversations become. Instead of memorizing random vocabulary, learn complete expressions. For example, that's a good point. Repeat. That's a good point. Excellent. I've never thought about it that way. Repeat. I've never thought about it that way. Very good. That reminds me of something. Repeat. That reminds me of something. Excellent. These phrases appear in many conversations. You can use them at work, with friends, while traveling, or while meeting new people, and because they are complete expressions, they come out more naturally than individual words. Imagine someone tells you about a new hobby. You can say, that's a good point, or I've never thought about it that way, or that reminds me of something. Suddenly, you are participating, you are connecting, you are communicating. That is what language is for. Not perfection, connection. And every phrase you learn becomes another bridge between you and other people. Now, let's continue with another important conversation habit. Way number 5 is practice curiosity. Curious people often have better conversations. Why? Because they ask questions, they listen carefully, they want to learn more. And curiosity makes speaking easier because you do not need to think about yourself all the time. You can focus on the other person. Imagine someone tells you, I recently visited a science museum. Repeat. I recently visited a science museum. Excellent. A curious response could be, what was your favorite part? Repeat. What was your favorite part? Very good. Or maybe, would you recommend it? Repeat. Would you recommend it? Excellent. Now imagine someone says, I've been learning how to make pottery. Repeat. I've been learning how to make pottery. Very nice. You could ask, how did you get interested in that? Repeat. How did you get interested in that? Excellent. Questions create conversations. Questions create connection. Questions create opportunities to keep speaking. And here is something important. You do not need perfect questions. You only need genuine interest. People enjoy talking to curious listeners. And curiosity makes language learning much more enjoyable. Because every conversation becomes a chance to discover something new. Not just new English, new ideas, new experiences, new stories. Before we continue, I would love to hear from you. Leave a comment and tell me which conversation habit feels most useful so far. Do you like imagining real situations? Do you prefer collecting useful phrases? Or maybe practicing curiosity sounds most helpful to you. Share your answer below and stay with me until the end. Because the final habit brings everything together and can transform English from something you study into something you actually live. For now, remember this. Every conversation starts with a single sentence. Every friendship starts with a simple exchange. Every confident speaker started as a beginner. And with every sentence you practice today, you are moving closer to becoming the confident English speaker you want to be. Now let's move to the final conversation habit. Way number 6 is make English part of your everyday decisions. This may sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful things you can do. Many learners keep English inside lessons, inside videos, inside study time. But real improvement often begins when English starts appearing in normal moments, moments that already exist in your day. Imagine you are deciding what to do on a free afternoon. You can ask yourself in English, should I visit the museum or go for a walk? Repeat, should I visit the museum or go for a walk? Very good. Maybe you are choosing what to eat. You can think, I feel like trying something different today. Repeat, I feel like trying something different today. Excellent. Perhaps you are planning your weekend. You can say, I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. Repeat, I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. Wonderful. These small moments matter. They teach your brain that English is not only for learning, English is for thinking. English is for communicating. English is for daily life. And here is something interesting. This final habit becomes much stronger when we break it into smaller actions. Tiny actions, easy actions, actions that fit naturally into a busy day. Because many people fail when they create goals that are too big, but small actions are easier to repeat, and repetition creates results. One simple action is changing part of your daily environment into English. Not everything, just a little. Perhaps your phone calendar, perhaps your shopping list, perhaps the notes you leave for yourself. Imagine writing, buy fresh fruit. Repeat, buy fresh fruit. Excellent. Call the dentist. Repeat, call the dentist. Very good. These are ordinary tasks, but they become English practice without requiring extra time. That is the beauty of small habits. They work quietly, day after day. Let's continue exploring these small daily actions, because they can make a surprising difference over time. Another simple habit is creating tiny conversations with yourself. Many learners wait for another person before speaking English. But you do not always need another person. You can create opportunities yourself. Imagine you are looking for something at home. You can say, where did I leave my keys? Repeat, where did I leave my keys? Excellent. Maybe you finally find them. You can say, there they are. Repeat, there they are. Very good. Or perhaps you are organizing a shelf. You can say, this looks much better now. Repeat, this looks much better now. Excellent. These short moments train your speaking muscles. And because they happen during real life, they feel natural. Another helpful habit is keeping a simple daily voice diary. Not a long recording. Just 1 minute, maybe less. You can talk about something you noticed, something you learned, or something that surprised you. For example, today I discovered a new cafe near my office. Repeat, today I discovered a new cafe near my office. Excellent. The coffee was good and the atmosphere was relaxing. Repeat. The coffee was good and the atmosphere was relaxing. Very nice. You do not need perfect pronunciation. You do not need perfect grammar. You only need practice. And every recording helps you become more comfortable hearing your own English. There is another habit that many successful learners use. They turn ordinary entertainment into learning opportunities. Maybe you watch a short travel video. Maybe you listen to a short interview. Maybe you watch someone explain a hobby. Instead of only watching, pause and repeat useful sentences. Shadow them. Use them. Make them yours. For example, that place looks fascinating. Repeat. That place looks fascinating. Excellent. I'd love to visit someday. Repeat. I'd love to visit someday. Very good. 5 minutes here, 3 minutes there. A few sentences every day. These small actions may not seem impressive, but they create momentum. And momentum is powerful because once learning becomes part of your routine, it becomes easier to continue. And consistency is often more important than intensity. As we reach the end of today's episode, let's remember the most important message. Real-life English grows through real-life practice, not through perfection, not through pressure, and not through waiting for the perfect moment. Today, we explored everyday conversations. We talked about listening to natural English. We talked about imagining yourself inside real situations. We talked about listening before responding. We talked about collecting useful conversation phrases. We talked about curiosity. And finally, we talked about bringing English into your daily decisions and habits. All of these ideas connect to one simple truth. English becomes easier when it becomes familiar. Here is today's secret sentence. Use English where life happens. Repeat. Use English where life happens. One more time. Use English where life happens. Excellent. Think about how many opportunities already exist around you. Your morning routine, your lunch break, your shopping list, your daily plans, your hobbies, your small conversations. All of these moments can become English practice. Maybe tomorrow you write your to-do list in English. Maybe you describe the weather while walking outside. Maybe you shadow a few sentences while waiting for your coffee. Maybe you ask yourself a simple question in English and answer it. These actions are small, but they are powerful because every time you use English in real life, you send an important message to your brain. You are not just learning English. You are living English. And that changes everything. Remember this. English is not a test you need to pass. It is a skill you build, a tool you use, a bridge that can connect you to people, ideas, opportunities, and experiences from around the world. So be patient with yourself, be kind to yourself, and keep moving forward. One conversation at a time, one sentence at a time, one day at a time. The person who speaks English confidently in the future is not a different person from you. It is simply you after many small moments of practice. And those moments are already happening. Right here, right now. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you enjoyed today's lesson, please subscribe and continue learning with Daily English Whisper. There are many more listening and conversation episodes waiting for you. And before we say goodbye, I want you to remember one thing. I am proud of your effort. Every time you choose to practice, you are investing in yourself. That is something worth celebrating. My name is Max. Thank you for joining me today on Daily English Whisper. Take care. Keep listening. Keep speaking. Keep growing.